Hello, hello. Welcome back to Crazy Games. We are continuing the 3 to get ready. And here we go. Moonlight Merriment Part II. Story quest. That didn't really flow too well, but yeah. I don't think this text has changed, so what I'm continuing really is this Moonlight Merriment's like story quest. And in the last one, Xiangling won the cooking competition, and now we get to hang out with them, see what happens.
ゲイショー、今回は私の勝ちだけど、あなたの料理一口だけ食べてもいいかな？
もちろんだ。俺にもお前の料理を食べさせてくれ。
All this talking about food has made me pretty hungry.
負けを認めざるを得ない味だよ。
During the break I had between this video and the last video, I was contemplating whether if I should just eat something first and then continue recording. But then I feel like that will take a bit of time and just to like prepare the food and then actually eat the food. And then maybe after that, I don't really feel like I'll be in as good as a mood as I am now to do recording and stuff like this. So I decided to just continue recording, and once I get this out of the way, then I'll make some food. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I found that I have to be in a certain mood before I feel comfortable, like, recording myself do stuff, like play games. I find that really interesting because there are some videos in the past where I kind of, like, forced myself to record even though I was feeling tired or I was feeling like I wanted to do something else. But then I wanted to get, like, a video ready or something. So then or there's something in this game that's limited time, kind of like this event where it's like, oh, I got to do this now or else I'll miss the opportunity kind of thing. And yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I didn't get as much enjoyment out of the game when I forced myself to do it. Whereas right now I feel like, oh, this is a pretty interesting story. And I'm loving like the whole Gooba just like photobombing constantly and the whole thing. And I really like Xiangling as a character right now, and the direction the story is going is really captivating me. So I'm feeling really good like recording myself do these kinds of things. And yeah, so I'm just gonna keep riding it pretty much. And yeah, I find it makes me like think about like other YouTubers who do, or other streamers I guess, that do gaming content, if that's like a thing that they have to deal with too, or if it's just like a thing that is like for me, like for my personality and how I like handle things. If it's like easy for certain YouTubers to just get into like the mindset of recording, or if it's like people get like routines or something in order to like kind of like help put their mind into a position where they can record or something. I don't know. Anyways, let's continue the story. I kind of just like ranted about myself there for a bit.
この船長賞もとっても美味しい。美味しすぎて涙が出ちゃいそうだよ。
気に入ってくれたということは、お前は見る目のある料理人だ。
私の実家も小さな料理屋だからよくわかるの。人にとって食は何よりも大切で、お客さんがいるからこそ食文化は存在する。家庭料理を甘く見ちゃダメだってね。
お前の料理は変わった発想と食材にこだわることで有名だと聞いたが、まさか小さな店の出身だったとは。巷には凄腕の料理人が潜んでいるものなんだな。
あなたもね。旅館の料理人はいつもお客さんのことを大切に考えてるでしょ。あんなにいい料理を作れるのもうなずけるよ。
お前はいい相手だった。機会があればまた手合わせしよ
う。次は今日よりも強くなってるからね。
約束だぞ。
Alright.
旅人、パイマン、お待たせ。さっきの料理は食べられた？その話はやめてくれ。審査員に選ばれなかったんだ。気にしない気にしない。戻ったら作ってあげるよ。本当か？やったー。
I wonder how like I don't have any friends that are like really big like chefs, I guess, or they're really into cooking. And I wonder how awesome it is to actually no. come to think of it, I do have a few friends that are pretty big into cooking. It's just that I don't feel like I am as good as friends that I could be with them. And like my main like group of friends, I don't think there's anyone who's like super into cooking. But yeah, it wouldn't it be awesome to have like a friend that's like super into cooking and is constantly making delicious food, and you hang out with them and they just make you delicious food all the time. I don't know. I feel like maybe I should try and get into that position where, because I do have a little bit of interest in cooking, but I don't know. My cooking has been just so bad that I barely, I guess like literally can stomach it. Like, I just like make food that I can eat, and I don't really look into recipes or anything because I guess I'm too lazy. But I feel like a person who knows how to cook will have many friends all the time because their food is just so good. But yeah, ever since like COVID started, I've kind of lost touch with a lot of friends since I've just been like at home all the time. I guess I started this whole like YouTube channel because I was at home all the time with nothing to do. So yeah, it's a little bit sad, and it was weird to be reminded of it just because of cooking. I guess cooking and food and culinary stuff is like a big part of like human culture, and food does bring people together. And just now I realized like I've lost touch with some friends because because of like reminding of like the meals we had together or the times that we hung out to eat or whatever. Oh well, let's continue.
ああ、そういえば、私と元将に商品を送るから、届け先を教えてほしいって主催者に言われてたんだった。高級食材セットと賞金が送られるらしいの。だからちょっと行ってくるね。
OK。
後でまた会おう。
またね。
行っちゃったな。まあ嬉しそうでよかったぞ。そういえばさっき国生が行幸と一緒にどこか歩いてったな。大会に関する用事でもあるのかな。
One
心臓がどうなったか聞きに行ってみようぜ。
One detail I want to nitpick about this game is that they let the day-night cycle kind of like play through, even through like events like this, which I feel like once you notice it, it becomes kind of like a bother. Like you feel like a big like competition or whatever is done at night, but like now this is like midday pretty much. And it feels kind of weird. I guess if the competition is for lunch or something. But in the last video that I made during the competition was actually nighttime because the dialogue kind of played to a point where night happened, and it happened at night. But in between this video and the last video, and where I took a break, I just kind of like stepped away from the computer for a little bit to like go to the washroom or whatever, and it came back. So that's why the time of day has like slightly changed. And throughout this conversation now is like midday. So yeah, I feel like that is like letting the day-night cycle play through like these kinds of things don't make a lot of sense because I don't know, it just doesn't feel continuous kind of thing. It doesn't feel like it's all happening in the same night. Like over the course of a lot of conversations in the past, like multiple days pass, and it just doesn't make sense that like people would converse for days. But yeah, it would be nice if like, I don't know, the day-night cycle can be like locked or something when you're in specific quests or whatever that require like certain times of days for it to trigger. I don't know if that makes sense. And I don't know how hard that would be to implement to like these kinds of story quests and stuff. And it's like one of those details that normally you don't notice, but once you notice it, it sticks out, and you notice it every time. And it also like, if done right, if that was actually a thing that the daylight cycle locks, you also wouldn't notice either, except I guess even if they locked the day-night cycle to whatever time of day the event or whatever the story requires it to be, that is not noticeable to people since it just flows that naturally. It's like one of those things that you can put a lot of attention to detail to that nobody would appreciate. So yeah, I don't know if it's worth actually like implementing something like that. One of the games that um, does all the attention to detail really well is like The Last of Us 2, where they like have all these like things in the background happening, even though like you can barely see it or you see it in like just one like quick couple frames or whatever, and it's like there, that kind of thing. I don't know, maybe I'm not explaining myself properly, and I feel like I'm pressured to move on, so let's continue. Oh, that was the end of the conversation. Look for Keqing. Okay, she's apparently in this direction. Yeah, in the last video, right before it ended, there was a shot at Keqing. She was walking by since the competition is over and all the judges were leaving, and she like stops, looks a little bit to the left, like as if she noticed something, and then like she carries on, like what's going on? So yeah, I'm thinking it's to like continue the God of Stove section of the story. So yeah, let's talk to Keqing. Actually, let's take a look at her since it's really rare to see her in a story quest all that often. Look at her. She's like just sitting there staring out into this thing. The railings here don't seem like it's high enough to really meet like safety codes. But I guess people who fall off of this must not be too smart. But then again, maybe there's drunks at night or something, and then they stumble down and then they fall down. And you fall down onto concrete or rocks, so... Huh. Anyways, let's look at Keqing. Tell us what you notice.
国生ここにいたのか。ああ、来てくれたのね。あれ、浮かない顔だな。何か悩み事でもあるのか？
Something is weighing on Keqing's mind. In brackets.
旅人、ちょっと困ってることがあってね。さっきの試合、実は元将に票を入れたの。
Because of the golden rice shrimp balls or something? Or golden shrimp balls? Yeah, I don't know. If you like that dish, that's why you voted for him. That's the point, isn't it? Unless you actually think Xiangling's stuff is better, and you voted for Smiley Yang Xiao just because of that one dish, then that might not be cool. But anyway, she won anyway, so... Unless you actually wanted Yang Xiao to win and is disappointed that he didn't.
国生はシャンリンに票を入れなかったことを後悔してるのか？いいえ、審査員として公平は保つべきだわ。私の票は真剣に考えた結果だから後悔はしてない。
Tell us the goods.
シャンリンは私の友人だからこのことを彼女に話すべきだと思ってるの。けどこれはあくまで私個人の立場から考えたこと。参加者であるシャンリンは理解してくれないかもしれない。シャンリンみたいな性格のことの接し方もわからないし、どうやって言おうかしら。
Wait, we don't know who voted for who to win. We just know that Xiangling won by one vote. So does it really matter? Does this whole section really matter? I guess if Xiangling lost because of Keqing's vote, Keqing might feel guilty because of that. But I don't know. I don't feel like there's a problem here.
オイラは大丈夫だと思うぞ。言い方とかシャンリンはきっと気にしないって。それに最終的に優勝したしな。
Oh, Keqing is just feeling bad about liking Smiley Yang Xiao stuff over Xiangling stuff, even though Xiangling and Keqing are supposed to be like friends now. So it's just like, oh, I still want to be friends. I hope you don't take offense to me liking the other guy's food more, which is I don't know, a silly position to be in. If a friend gets mad at you because the other person did something better than your friend, that friend is I don't know, not a very good friend. So you're supposed to have my back, man. It's like, but the other person was better. You should take this as a learning opportunity. みんなここにいたの？探したよ。シャンリン、
その、伝えたいことがあるの。どうしたの？料理対決の時は、己が心に従うようにと、私の祖父が言ってたわ。つまり、料理で勝負したり、私有を消したりする時、自分が思った方に票を入れるべきで、他の影響は考えず、本心に従うべきだと。もちろん、これは祖父個人の見解だわ。でも、私もそれが正しいと思ってるの。だから、私はあなたの友人だけど、票を元将の船長賞に入れたわ。
Oh, okay. Yeah, she didn't even bias it because of her favorite food dish. She actually just enjoyed Yang Xiao's Adeptus Temptation more than whatever dish Xiangling had to offer. I think you mean the golden shrimp balls.
そうよ。ええ、その通り。エビのポテト包み揚げが好きなの。いけないかしら。
Shutting up now.
真剣な顔をしてるから何かあったのかと思ったよ。大丈夫、私は全然気にしてないよ。国政は自分の好きな方に投票しただけ。何の問題もないよ。逆にそうしてくれないと不公平な試合になってたでしょ。わざわざ伝えてくれたってことは友達として気まずかったのかな。
Unfortunately, in real life, voting for the person you know is generally or helping out the person that you know or favor, despite being able to meet the requirements of the certain situation, is too prevalent. There's lots of nepotism going along, I guess.
そんなことは。私言ったでしょ。真面目な国政が一番大好きだって。私にとって厳しくない意見は意味がないの。ぬるま湯を求めるのは素人がやること。私はもう素人じゃない。これから進むべき道や作る料理は今以上求められるはずだから、国政みたいな友達が必要なの。逆に国政は責任感が強すぎるよ。気にしなくていい時もあるのに。国政は七星であり、一人の女の子でもある。友達といる時は気を使わなくてもいいんじゃない？それに行幸さんもこんな感じなんでしょ。北斗姉さんから教えてもらったんだけど、行幸さんとはお互い気を使わない中で、たまに船で木々で対局するんだって。行幸さんは身分や地位を気にしないし大胆な人でしょ。国政もあの人みたいにもっと肩の力を抜いてよ。
Xiangling's right on the money. You don't need to be so strict with yourself. Xiangling's right on the money.
旅人シャンリン、そういえばここで立ち話してる場合じゃなかったわね。まだかまど神の心臓を確認してなかったでしょ。
I was just about to say, like, how does this segue into the God Stove story thread of this entire like story quest? And it's just like this, like, I don't know, throwaway line that just like jarringly takes you back to that story plot line about the God Stove. It's like, oh yeah, let's just go check out the God Stove or the Stove God statue.
忘れるところだったぜ。早く確認してみよう。
All right. So yeah, this is the part that was spoiled for me. For those who didn't come from the previous video, I said in the beginning of this part of this story quest, part 2, I guess. 3 to get ready, and here we go. Moonlight Merriment Part 2. Like the beginning of this section, I said like I was spoiled because I was perusing the Genshin Impact subreddit, and I kind of already know what this stone becomes. And yeah, now we actually get to see what's going on though. Check the large rock. Is there anything around here that's like interesting to look at? What are these things on the ground? Are these supposed to be lanterns? Just to like put a little bit of light into this like ambiance. There's some like moon cakes, it looks like. Rice cakes? Moon cakes? some scrolls and stuff. I don't know what's on the scrolls. Some more different colored mooncakes? Or are they like containers full of like coffee or cigarettes or something? Let's just continue. Whoop. Check the large stone.
おかしいな。石に変化はないぞ。そんな、試合はあんなに盛り上がってたのに。まさかあの試合じゃかまど神を蘇らせることはできなかったのか。もしかしてこれじゃダメだったのかしら。
There's still time, Keqing. Don't lose hope. Believe.
そうだぞ。もうここまで来たんだから少しくらい待つことになっても気にすんなって。そうだろシャンリン。時間があるからもう少し待とう。それにみんな一緒だから退屈もしないでしょ。そういえば国生、いいお知らせがあるんだ。この前もらったレシピなんだけど作れそうなの。師匠が試合前に来てくれて欠けてたレシピの文字を解読してくれたんだ。今ならきっとその料理を作れるよ。
Wait a minute. She said Shisho again. In the very first video of this story section I made, I said like Xiangling, when she referred to Madam Ping as her master, it is said that she's referring to Madam Ping as her martial arts master, and that her cooking like teacher is actually her father. But in this part of the story, it seems like Madam Ping was also like a teacher of how to cook as well, since she asked Madam Ping about the ingredients of Keqing's grand uncle or something like that, like recipe for food. So yeah, maybe she just has multiple masters and has been learning to cook from a lot of different people, and taking what's important and discarding what is not. That's a Bruce Lee. That's a really bad paraphrase of a Bruce Lee quote. すぐ場所を探して作ってあげるから少し待ってて。シャンリン。そうだ。旅人も一緒に来てくれる？シャンリンのやつ、現象に勝ったばかりなのに、オイラたちに挑戦するのか？ Alright, it's time for me to get real. So we're gonna cook too now? As the traveler? I'm something of a kitchen god myself. 違うよ。レシピを集めるのが好きなんでしょ？旅している時にこの料理が役立つかと思って教えてあげたかったんだ。But it's Keqing's granduncle's recipe. Why would you have the right to be sharing it? I guess that she figured it out, so maybe that's why. I don't know. Or this is not a thing at all. Not a thing to worry about at all. そうだったのか。オイラたちの考えすぎだったか。Who am I kidding, Xiangling? Xiangling's the real kitchen queen. 今さらそんなお世辞を言われても。Look at her smug face. I love how like everyone, since they're all like anime characters, they can all like do the Kizuna eye smug face. 何よ。料理を作るんでしょ？ほら、早く行ってきなさい。Yeah, let's do it. Alright, I guess we gotta go into the menus and accept this, whatever this is. Chili mince cornbread buns. A detailed step-by-step recipe for making chili minced cornbread bun. Would you like some cornbread? Make delicious chili mint cornbread bun. Does this change? After some testing, Xiangling modifies the dish she is making for a contest based on her. No, wait, this hasn't changed. Where do I go to do this? Do I just talk to Keqing? Let's see what she has to say. 心臓は蘇るのかしら? Is he gonna chisel into a hot Rex Lapis man with his abs sticking out And it's like, we have immortalized the abs of the Geo Archon in this totally accurate depiction of him. I don't even know where I'm supposed to be going. Oh, I just need to find a cooking station and cook it. Okay. Let's be Xiangling. Does this still work? Alright, Gooba, do your thing. Yeah, where is it? What was it called? Minced something something? Chili minced. It's got little, like, paws on it. Ah! I'll talk about this later. Hopefully I remember. Oh, let's make Xingyan do it, since she gets a bonus. Bloop. Yay! Alright.
できたぞ。これがレシピに書かれてた料理か。早く国政に渡そう。
If it shines,
だよ。一緒に国政のところに戻ろう。
if it shines, you gotta investigate. I don't even know why I want to pick up all this anymore. I don't think I have anyone that really requires these
しましょう。
resources in order to upgrade. But I guess if I do, like, get lucky and unlock one of the 5 stars that I don't have, there's a pretty good chance they probably use one of these resources to upgrade. So I might as well have a bunch on hand. Keqing. We made the thingy.
戻ってきたぞ。私と旅人でそれぞれ作ったよ。温かいうちに食べよっか。それじゃあいただきます。
Keqing tastes everyone's dishes.
どうした？そんな顔して。私、これがあのレシピの味なのね。
Keqing? What you thinking about there?
失礼したわ。シャンリン、旅人、これを作ってくれてありがとう。私が望んでた味だわ。とても美味しい。しかも不思議な感じがする。祖父と過ごした日々に戻ったみたい。本当によかった。さっき言いそびれたけど、実は師匠がレシピを解読してくれた時に、この料理の作り方をすでに知っていることに気づいたの。作り方を知っていたっていうことは、レシピがなくても作れたのか？うん。昔、お父さんに作り方を教えてもらったんだ。でも、この料理は国政のおじいちゃんの手記にあったものじゃないのか？この料理だけど、私が思うに、おそらく祖父が考案したものではないと思うわ。私の祖父は、リーウェの不動産業界でも有名な重鎮だったの。それと同時に学者でもあったわ。古書を収集するのが好きで、失われたリーウェの伝統文化にも知見があった。幼い頃の私は、よく祖父の書斎で本を読んでいたわ。様々な本を読み、元王帝君が実在するのかどうか話し合ってた。果たして、それらの古書にどれだけの信憑性があるのかはわからないけど。
Well, we know Rex Lapis is real because every year or something, the Ningguan like summons Rex Lapis, the dragon, and like sees what he has to say about the fortune of the area, doesn't he? Or did I just like completely not understand that side of the story when I was playing through it? Does the dragon not? The dragon is not supposed to be Rex Lapis. Maybe the dragon was supposed to be like a version of Rex Lapis or something. I don't know.
祖父はこう言ってたわ。本は私たちを歴史に導く架け橋に過ぎない。国政のその疑問は我々子孫が追い求め見極めるべきだ。祖父が亡くなった後、私は成長して七聖の一員となった。それ以来、元王帝君に対する見解も伝説から本物へと変わったわ。 元王帝君の名は私にとって祖父の思い出とつながってる。元王帝君の名を見るとよく祖父のことを思い出すの。そして書斎にあった手記のことも。このレシピは祖父の手記から書き写したもので、あの人が蘇らせたかった古き時代の料理。ただ残念ながらあの頃はレシピが不完全だったから完成することはなかったけど、祖父はこの料理の試作品を作るたび私に食べさせてくれた。本当に懐かしい。あの頃食べていた味に似てるわ。古き時代の料理？この蒸しまんじゅう、そんなに長い歴史があるのか？私のお父さんはそのまたお父さんから教えてもらったんだって。この料理は私の家に代々伝わってるらしいよ。うちではピリ辛蒸しまんじゅうって呼んでるんだ。家庭でも作りやすいし持ち運びもしやすいから、特に旅先で食べるのにぴったりなんだよ。グオパーを見てたら思い出しちゃった。グオパーと初めて会った日に作っていた料理もこのピリ辛蒸しまんじゅうだったの。グオパーと初めて会った日？うん、私とグオパーはある洞窟で出会ったの。その日洞窟で雨宿りしてたら、そこに祭壇があるのを見つけてピリ辛蒸しまんじゅうをお供えしたんだ。
Yeah, this is the story that you can read about in her profile. And yeah, I guess they summarize it here, just so you know this context.
その後うっかり寝ちゃったんだけど、目が覚めたらグオパーがピリ辛蒸しまんじゅうを全部食べちゃっててね。それ以来この子はずっと私についてきて、今では私の家族になってるの。おい、おしゃべりに夢中になってたら、石を見ろ。
It's evolving.
爆発した。これは
Isn't that Goba?
グオパー？どういうこと？
So yeah, it turns out to be Goba. Goba is actually an Adeptus. Which is pretty interesting because actually I don't really know. Is this like maybe Goba's ancestor? Because it looks like Goba is surprised that it is a statue of him. Maybe he's like a descendant of the original stove god. But yeah, it's like a Goba person. Or one of the Adeptuses or whatever that Goba may have descended from. Maybe that's exactly what. But yeah, the spoiler that I had was like I saw this statue and I at the time thought that it was Goba, but maybe he's not.
ピリ辛蒸しまんじゅうはもう食べたようじゃな。
And yeah, like the fact that Xiangling's master is Adeptus kind of makes us like, oh, she already knows Adepti. So like having like Adeptis around her like kind of makes sense, I guess. And yeah, the other thing that I was saying was that the food that we had to cook for Keqing had paws on it, and yeah, I guess if you knew that Goba was underneath the statue, it would make sense that there was like little paws on that like specific food item that Goba really likes. Oh, maybe like in a previous video, I also said that they changed Xiangling's Goba elemental skill voice line to something different. It still says like, oh, Goba, go or whatever in Japanese, but then I think in the old line she pronounces it as Goba, just like how it's spelt in English, and I'm guessing that's also how it's pronounced to an extent in Chinese, but I guess in Japanese it's actually Gopa with a P, and maybe they changed it to be more accurate to like the Japanese spoken pronunciation of the word of how it's supposed to sound.
そうじゃ。何せグオパーこそが子供たちの探していた かまどの魔人なのじゃからの。
Okay, Madam Ping just pronounced it Goba, so now I'm confused.
バーが魔人
Oh yeah.
にぎやかさがかまど神をよみがえらせる鍵となるかどうかわしに聞いたじゃろ。あれの答えは是でもあり非でもある。
Freaking Xiangling here throws out Adeptus as one of her elemental skills. Just throws out an Adeptus and the Adeptus does her bidding.
かまど神は民を思い、そして人々の願いを叶えるため身を粉にしてきた神。この神にとって心の願いと心血は別物なのじゃ。心血とは技術、才能、経験のこと。しかし心の願いこそが人々の胸の奥底にある最も純粋な力なんじゃ。料理王決定戦は見事じゃったが、そこに注がれた心血は願いを上回っていた。心血だけでは深い眠りについたかまど神をよみがえらせることはできぬ。じゃが国政があの料理を食べたとき、心の中の願いが満たされたのじゃ。そして求めていた答えだけでなく、大切な祖父との思い出もよみがえった。その願いが叶った時に湧き上がった大きな力がかまど神の心臓と共鳴し、かつての姿となって地上に現れたのじゃ。
Look at that thick boy right there. I'd like to give that thing a big hug.
当然かまど神そのものは心臓の中にいなかった。皆のそばにいたのじゃからな。全盛期だった頃の自分の心臓を見た感想はどうじゃ。
Glory days.
威風堂々とした姿じゃろう。
So it is him, straight up then. It's not a descendant.
全盛期？ちょっと待って、グオパーに何があったの？もしかして今のグオパーは昔と違うの？
He used to be like 37 feet tall and crushes everyone underneath his feet.
かつてこの者はリーユへの大地の守護神じゃった。今はシャンリンのグオパーじゃがの。過去に持っていた知恵と力はすべてこの大地に捧げられておる。
魔人が力を大地に捧げる、そういった伝説は聞いたことがあるわ。でも一体どうやって？
大地が直面してきた危難や試練は子供たちの想像をはるかに超えるものじゃ。大干ばつ、洪水、豪雨、暴風、地震、津波、火災、病、リーユへの力、災害が完全に消え失せることはなかった。過去に現れなかった災害も後になって生まれてくる。その影響を最も受けたのが千人の肉体を持たない凡人だったのじゃ。かまど神はかつて人々と不毛の平原を越えて港へと訪れ、家を建て火を起こした。リーユへに最初の光を灯したのも、幾千もの家々に料理の香りを漂わせたのもかまど神じゃった。人々はすでにかの者のことを忘れてしまった。じゃがかまど神が存在した時代、人々にとって最も大切な仙人だったんじゃよ。
Oh, Gooba. Oh, we get a cutscene.
かまど神の
Oh, look how big this big boy is. Is he actually like super huge?
の火花から誕生した。盧家と民政を司る民に愛される魔人じゃった。1000年前、人々は平野に集落を作り、そこをキリ州と名付けた。 かまど神は幾千もの体に分かれると人々に食と団らんをもたらしたのじゃ。じゃがある日、洪水が故郷を奪って、
Oh no.
人々は南下し、リーユエ港へと。
Oh, that's other Adeptuses.
その旅は嵐に見舞われ。
Is that supposed to be Ganyu
時間に
with the horns? Or Ganyu's parents?
そしてかまど神はある料理を作り出したのじゃ。寒さをしのげ持ち運びに優れた料理を。それから数百年の間、大地は災害と疫病に見舞われた。かまど神はそれらを鎮めるため力を大地へと捧げたのじゃ。力を使い果たしたかまど神は知能が下がり、別れる時には人よりも小さくなっておった。そして幸福をもたらす料理と盧家の神王を帝君とわしに告げると、長い眠りについた。再び目が覚めた時、少女の作ったピリ辛蒸しまんじゅうを食べ、その味に懐かしさを覚えて、共にあること
It's this tiny Xiangling.
じゃ。かまど神が姿を消した後、露店で物を売る人、料理をする人と日常が戻った。かつてのリーユエのようにも。
Boba is with Azdaha. And, I don't know what the deer guy's name. Mountain Carver?
により雨と風の祝福を受け、
Xiao's there.
賛美する。
Who's the lady? Is he gonna be a character we can use? Ganyu's there.
遷移したが世界の本質は
Yanfei. Oh, these boys. Wait, who's the lady with Xiangling in the back there? Chi-Chi's there. Beidou.
名を馳せようと職行を頼りに進むのは大事なことよ。
Keqing, and who's the lady in the back there?
今昔の所持は激動に流され、新たな才が
The Traveler has a 5-star sword. Instead of a dull blade.
人にとって気持ちを高めるもの。なぜなら食べるということは至上の霊気をいただくものであり、飲むということは天地の聖水をいただくものじゃから。
I feel like there was a lot of, I don't know, maybe references or hints about the future, maybe even, in that, like, cutscene alone. That cutscene was a real treat. I don't know, I really enjoyed that cutscene. It, I don't know, encapsulated this whole thing pretty well. And then, like, that big, like, thing that had Ganyu's horns, is that supposed to be, like, the Adeptus half of, whether it's mom or dad, of Ganyu or something like that? And there's all these other characters that I think, like, I don't remember their names. Like, is it Mountain Carver and Pervasis was the friend? Was it Pervasis? The friend of Xiao that... Oh, I don't remember anymore. The tiger, the grilled tiger fish or something friend? The crane dude? Was it Pervasis? I don't remember. And then there was, like, all these other characters. It looks like Chi-Chi was there while Changyun, Xingqiu, and Hu Tao were young. So, like, we don't really know exactly how old Chi-Chi is then, because she kind of, like, looks like she never aged. And there was, like, a lady with Xiangling. Who's the lady with Xiangling? Was that going to be another character we'll be introduced soon, or is it, like... Is she like a character that already exists that we just haven't, or at least I haven't noticed yet? And then there's like that one lady in that scene with all the Abdectus, with like Xiao and everyone. Was that supposed to be like a young Madam Ping or something? Or is that like another character? I don't know. That was really cool. I wish I could have like paused during that, just like really take in all the different characters and all the different things that are happening. But yeah, maybe I'll after this, I'll just like maybe find a YouTube video, or actually no, I can just review the footage that I recorded and just like look through it just for my own entertainment more than anything, for my to fulfill my own curiosity. But yeah, that was a really cool scene. I really like that scene. This story has turned out, I feel like, a lot better than the the Raiden Shogun and the Kokomi stories. So I'm glad. I'm glad this. I don't know what happened to make the quality drop so much for those two stories, but I'm glad that I don't know things are back on an upturn for these stories. Hopefully, it just continues to get better and better, or at least keep some sort of a stable quality as more story comes out.
同時にそれは最も重要なことでもある。人は生きていく以上、空腹を満たさなければ力が出ない。そして食べるということには、大きいものから小さいものまで様々とある。小さいものとは、米一握りを食し、岩に流れる水を飲み、腹を満たすこと。大きいものとは、月と星の甘露を壺で飲み、千年の道を導くこと。古き友よ。あなたが眠っている間、リーユエはすっかりとにぎわい、美しくなった。
So yeah,
嬉しいかのう。
I just like to say, like, because I saw the spoiler, there was a lot of points in the story that I was like, oh, this hinting about this. It was foreshadowing this part where it turns out the stove god was Gooba. There was like a part where Xiangling feeds Xiao like a meal, and she says like, oh, an adeptus praised my meal. I'm so happy. But then like we know now that Gooba, being an adeptus the entire time, has been like loving her food and her cooking all this time. So like that now has a different meaning because of this, because you have this extra information. But then that part was weird too, since Madam Ping, you would think, has eaten and probably complimented Xiangling on her cooking. So it's just like, it seems like it was specifically put into there, like that line was specifically put into there to kind of like poke at this reveal, like, oh, it turns out another adeptus. But then they forgot that like Madam Ping is an adeptus too. But I guess there wasn't anything in the story that suggests that Xiangling often cooks food for Madam Ping to eat, maybe, I don't know. And the whole when you cook the meal for Keqing, like her grandfather's recipe, that corn something minced something, it had like little paw marks on it, which suggests that it was originally like tailored for Gooba, or maybe Gooba was the one who made up that recipe. So that's another hint in there too. And I was like, there was many times where I was just about to just like blurt out like, oh my goodness, they're hinting at that the spoiler, but I had to hold myself from saying anything. So yeah, that was fun.
グオッパこんなに大事なことなんで教えてくれなかったの
He's like, I don't know how to talk.
ねえもう昔のグオッパーじゃないんだ話すこともできないから伝えられなかったんだろうグオッパー来なかったら
Give him a big hug.
シャンリン
シャンリン、悲しむ必要はない。何事にも裏表がある。グオッパーはかつての知性を失ったが、悩みのない生活を暮らせるようになった。
You know what they say, ignorance is bliss.
この世で全ての悩みから解放されたものなどおらん。わしらは知恵と心を持っているゆえ、自然とさまざまなものに惑わされる。そしてかまど神は 知恵と勇を併せ持っておった。前線で戦ってきた分、今は休ませてやろう。こうして何のしがらみもないのは休めている証じゃ。この子をもっと大切に。一緒に旅をしてさまざまなものを食べ、世界を回ってあげなさい。
必ずそうする。
シャンリンは仙人と縁があるのね。グオパーもシャンリンを認めてるんだわ。長い眠りから覚めた瞬間、ピリ辛蒸しまんじゅうという懐かしい味と再会させてくれた。いくら時が経とうとも、グオパーは自分が考えた料理を覚えていた。そしてシャンリンが再現して作った料理を認めた。
そうじゃ。故郷の料理を食べれば故郷を思い出すことができる。昔のことを思い出せなくとも、グオパーは自分の料理を食べたことで懐かしさを覚えた。じゃからこそシャンリンについていったのじゃ。
かまど神に初めて純粋な食の喜びを感じさせたのはシャンリンなのかもしれないわね。シャンリンって本当にすごい料理人だわ。
I love Xiangling's cooking too, okay?
そうだといいな。お客様に笑顔を届けることが私たち料理人の使命だから。
さて、時間も遅くなっちゃったわね。私は他に用事があるから先に失礼するわ。旅人、パイモン、シャンリン、ありがとう。また時間があるときに君たちに会いに行くわ。
Well, sounds good. We'll be waiting. Is that hinting at Keqing specific story coming pretty soon?
お父さんはもう知ってるかもしれないけど、このことを帰って教えてあげなきゃ。師匠も久しぶりにうちでご飯を食べない？お父さんは師匠のことをよく心配してるの。師匠を家に呼びたいっていつも言ってるんだ。
そうじゃったか。ならお言葉に甘えてご相伴に預かろうかの。さあ、この古い道をゆっくりと進むんじゃ。山を降りてリーゆえの皆の様子を見てみるといい。
Oh yeah. So that's oh, I was hoping that was the end, but I guess there's this last point. Oops. I fell in water. That I was hoping that was like the last point and just end things, but I guess there's a bit more. I was already going a little over, but I thought it was gonna wrap up pretty soon. But hopefully it wraps up now.
また無理してるの？そういうのは私に任せてよ。おい、ゴーパーが逃げたぞ。
Look who it is. Oh, who's it gonna be? Oh, it's Xiangling.
お前か。
Xiangling recognizes him.
優しいな、友人よ。
おやおや、あなたもここを散歩してたのかい？
この時期は外を歩いて食事を楽しむのに適しているからな。
I guess since we saw Goba with Aztaha, that Zhongli probably knows who he is too. So yeah, that makes sense. That's really interesting that Zhongli being a spear user is associated with Goba, which is now associated with Xiangling, who is also a spear user. That's an interesting connection.
散歩とはいいものじゃ。わしらが開口する機会を与えてくれた。グオパーはあなたのことがわからないが、それでも喜んでおる。
ゴーパー、いろんなことを忘れちゃったのに、それでも親しい人を感じ取れるのか。
友情とは元から時代を超えて存在するものだ。旅人、月酔いという言葉についてどう思う？
Evocative and seasonal.
名月を見上げれば全ての思いが込められていることがわかる。この感情と風景の中、星々に照らされ
月を追って思いを馳せる。亡き友の恩を感じ、古き友の情を受け、時の真意を追求し、先週の城を周遊する。これらすべてを月追いという。
わしは随分と年を取ってしまったから、何を見ても感傷に浸ってしまう。しかし、子供たちを見ていると、そこに美しさを感じ取れるんじゃ。豊かな生命力が地下から湧き出るように。この1000万年の時を歩んできた古き大地は、今もなお輝かしい。
Perhaps that is what defines Li Yue.
旅人、あなたに見届けられたこの月追い祭は、さらに
I
面
thank
白い
you.
ものとなった。
I
シャ
did.
ンリンにお茶を入れてもらうといい。ゆっくりとお茶を味わいながら、思う存分。
I didn't really do anything.
じゃろう。
I just hung out with Xiangling and Keqing. They're the ones who really drove the story. I just tagged along. And Goba here is actually has more role in this whole thing than we did. Read, get ready, and here we go. Quest complete. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, so that was fun. That was a fun little story. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end things right here then. I guess I have to end things right here. There's really nothing left to do, but I did want, before I end things, I did want to go back into her thing and read the story one more time. So character story 4 is where we kind of hear at first. And it goes like this. Whenever a customer asks what exactly was the perplexing creature that follows Xiangling around is, she tells them the story. Wait, what did I just do? There was a sudden downpour one day when Xiangling was on her way to fetch some violet grass. Halfway there, she was already tired and hungry. She stumbled into a cave. That didn't look like a cave. No, it was a cave with a strange shrine. Okay, and came across she stumbled into a cave and came across a strange shrine. So she sat down by the shrine and took out 2 pieces of spicy cornbread. She gobbled down one, but left the other one on the shrine, intending to eat a little later, but then promptly fell asleep. When she woke up, the other spicy cornbread was gone, and a mysterious creature was sitting in front of her, staring. Was it good? It nodded. More? She took out some jerky from her backpack. The mysterious creature nodded once again. This was how Xiangling made a new friend. It seemed to be drawn to Xiangling's cooking, as the creature started following Xiangling around wherever she went. Xiangling named it Goba, after her favorite childhood snack. So yeah, now that we played through this story, we have context to what this is now. And I wonder if there's going to be more to kind of further Goba's story at this point. That was interesting that she came to this shrine and saw like a Goba sleeping on a table, and she didn't really think too much of it. Like in that story, it sounded like she was alone in that cave with the shrine. Maybe she thought like Goba is what it was, like a statue or something, and it was like what the shrine was supposed to be for. But it turns out Goba was just sleeping. I don't know. Yeah, the story itself sounded like she was supposed to be alone, and Goba came out of nowhere while she was asleep. But yeah, anyway, that's all I have for you for today. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe for more stuff. Now that I'm done this, maybe I'll work on other games finally. I don't know. This game is taking up so much of my time that I don't have time to do other games, even though I always mean to try other games, especially short games that I can just like pump out really quickly. But yeah, if you're interested in that, I guess subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next one, wherever it may be. Goodbye. I'll say goodbye with that Goba as well. Goodbye.